the Cleveland Browns offseason, they have $21 million in cap space, and they can cut Sheldon Richardson and free up $12 million or restructure his contract. Cutting Njoku saves $6 million, and he's been a guy who's been wanting to get traded for a while regardless. And they have 27 pending in free agents, but these are the most important and notable ones. Olivier Vernon, Kevin Johnson, Terrence Mitchell, Carl Joseph, B.J. Goodson, Andrew Sendejo, and Larry Ogunjobi and Rashard Higgins. To me, re-sign Olivier Vernon, let Kevin Johnson walk, but re-sign Terrence Mitchell. Carl Joseph, I'm 50-50 on. B.J. Goodson, he was their best linebacker, well, on paper, but I think Malcolm Smith played better than him. It's up in the air if you want to keep or let him go. I say keep. Andrew Sendejo, let him go. Larry Ogunjobi, let him go. Rashard Higgins, keep him. But if they let him go, I wouldn't be mad because they're getting Odell back. They have Jarvis Landry and Donovan Peoples-Jones. So it'd go either way. But, to me, outside of Olivier Vernon, and that's basically it, nobody else is really a must-keep guy for me.
Yeah, I even Olivier Vernon for me, just depending on the price tag. I know he had that Achilles injury, so even he's a little bit of a question mark for me. Rashad Higgins is a guy who I think is interesting because we've heard Odell's name floated around in rumors. I don't know how true that is, and I don't know if they do end up moving on from Odell, but maybe it's a coincidence. You saw when Odell was not on the field this year, the Browns' offense did get better. There's no denying it. And Odell, you know how he could be on a sideline in the locker room, how he was in New York and how things ended there. So maybe bringing back Rashad Higgins wouldn't be a bad idea. Even if it's as an insurance policy for if Odell things go wrong with him, if the offense isn't working out to start the season, you can move on from Odell and you bring back Rashad Higgins. I think that would be a smart move. I would think about bringing back Terrence Mitchell, but I don't think that there's a lot of guys on this list that are must bring back free agents.
Yeah, I agree. And when we're talking about what the Browns need, it's all on the defensive side of the football. I think their offense is stacked. It's good. They don't have to touch it. But on defense, I think they need a cornerback. They need an inside linebacker. They need a safety and a defensive tackle. And at cornerback, you got Patrick Peterson, Jason McCourty, William Jackson, A.J. Boye, Mike Hilton, Cameron Sutton, Desmond King, Troy Hill. So there are options at free safety, Jaquiski Tart, Marcus May, Terrence Brooks, Anthony Harris, Justin Simmons, who I think will get tagged, Marcus Williams, and at strong safety, Keanu Neal, Deron Harmon, John Johnson. At inside linebacker, Avery Williamson is there, Denzel Perriman, Neville Hewitt, who had a pretty good year for the Jets, and at defensive tackle, Daquan Jones, Lawrence Guy, Shelby Harris, Steve McClendon. And with this 26 overall pick that they have in the first round, I mean, they can target Zaven Collins, J.C. Horn, Tyson Campbell, Christian Barrymore. They can also probably target Trayvon Moehrig if Jacksonville doesn't take him, but I think Jacksonville will take him. For me, this is the team that I have for the Browns and who I think they'll sign. I think on offense is obvious. Baker, Chubb, Odell, Jarvis Landry, Peoples-Jones, and Rashard Higgins. It can go either way. I think if they let go of Rashard Higgins, obviously Peoples-Jones will start. Austin Hooper, and their offensive line is going to be one of the best in the league. Jedrick Wills, Joel Bitonio, J.C. Treader, Wyatt Teller, Jack Conklin. And on defense, Myles Garrett, Sheldon Richardson stays with after they restructure his contract. Steve McClendon comes in. I think he will be a good veteran presence. But if you want to go younger, they can get a guy like Shelby Harris or Daquan Jones. Olivier Vernon stays. Avery Williamson gets signed by the Browns. Malcolm Smith stays. Denzel Ward, Greedy Williams, and they draft Tyson Campbell or J.C. Horn, and they sign Cameron Sutton away from the Pittsburgh Steelers. And they keep Carl Joseph, and they sign Marcus Williams from the Saints.
Yeah, I think linebacker is a position I would look at. Avery Williamson is a guy you mentioned. Matt Milano from the Bills. Jayon Brown from the Titans. We talked about him before. A couple guys they could look at bringing in. I think there's two guys from a divisional opponent, the Bengals, who I would look at bringing in. Carl Lawson and William Jackson will both be great additions. But you really mentioned it, beefing up the defense. I mean, you listed pretty much all the names that are out there. Any of those guys would be great additions because the offense is set. I don't think they need to touch the offense at all unless it cuts. I would look at cutting David Njoku, just save that money because they're good at tight end even without him. The offense is set, and they're going to have, if Baker Mayfield can play at the same level he did at the end of this past season, next season, they're going to have one of the better offenses in the league. Defense is where they have to focus, and anywhere they can upgrade, I think all the money should go towards defense this offseason. And the draft, too.
I agree. Another guy that I mentioned was Desmond King. Desmond King can be a guy to play that slot position. We can see a scenario where they get 2 cornerbacks. You know, I'm only picking one because I think that Greedy Williams is going to pan out. But Greedy Williams could very well not pan out, and the only really solidified guy they have is Denzel Ward, and Terrence Mitchell is up and down, but he's pretty good. He's pretty good when he's up. Greedy Williams, who knows what he's going to be? Grant Delpit coming off of a serious injury. I was very high on Grant Delpit coming into the draft. I was really sad that he got injured because I wanted to see him play. But who knows? Maybe they don't need to get Marcus Williams if they believe in Grant Delpit. But because I think there's a question mark, you know, you can always slide Marcus Williams to the other safety spot and bring in Grant Delpit. There's just so many different scenarios. But I think this offseason is going to be make or break for the Browns because they need to get their defense better.
Yeah, and missing Greedy Williams and Grant Delpit last season was obviously huge losses. And not only just having them on the field, but seeing what they could become. You know, you wanted to see what you had in Grant Delpit. So if he was a bust, you could address that in this draft or this free agency. Unfortunately, they lost that. But getting them back, I think, will be nice additions, automatically having them on the roster next season. Cornerback position they can go in the draft. Maybe J.C. Horn if he falls. I don't think he's going to get to 26, though. Eric Stokes, a cornerback from Georgia, is another guy they can look at. But I would like to see them beef up the cornerback position because you don't know what you have in Greedy yet. And also Grant Delpit. If you could bring in a guy like Marcus May, I would hate to see it.
Yeah.
Because I would want him to come back to the Jets. I think he's one of the most underrated safeties in football.
Even a guy like Brian Poole.
Yeah, 2 Jets that are super underrated because they were part of a unit that wasn't great this season. But when you watch the Jets this year, even in that win against the Rams, who was it that made the big play to win the game for them? It was Marcus May swatting that pass away at the end. He was the leader on the defense, the leader on the team, and he doesn't get the shine that he deserves because he was stuck in Jamal Adams' shadow. But he's one of the most underrated safeties in the league, and that would be a great addition to any team, really.
Yeah, I agree.